Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Reading from the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized. Verse number 31. Swadharmam api chavekshya navekam pitumarhasi dharmyadhi yuddha shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Out of the 4 orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. Kshat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trayate, to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. This system has been followed even up to the present day by Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyasa or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious law books, it is stated, Ahaveshu mithonyonyam jigham shanto mahikshita yuddhamana param shaktya swargam yanti aparan mukha yajneshu pashavo brahman hanyante satatam dvijai sanskrita kila mantraischatepi swargam avapnuvan. Quote, in the battlefield, a king or Kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Unquote. Therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principles and killing animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animal sacrificed gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another, and the Kshatriya killed in the battlefield also attains the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. This is a very interesting practice in our country. As you know, there are 4 Varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Each has got their own role to play in the society. But a Brahmana is expected to do animal sacrifice during yajna. Now, in today's world, where we have a misconstrued morals, principles, which is largely influenced by the Western ideas, if you talk of animal sacrifice, then immediately the animal rights activists will start protesting. But animal sacrifice is necessary and is very good for everybody involved. When the animal is sacrificed for in a yajna, following the religious principles as laid down in the Vedas, that animal immediately gets a higher human birth. Otherwise, that animal would have to, follow the cycle of 84 lakhs species, 84 lakh species before getting a human body. But when the animal is sacrificed in the sacrificial fire, immediately the next birth of the animal would be human in a elevated status. So it is a great honor for that animal. Otherwise, the animal will have to undergo the tedious 84 lakh species of lifetimes before getting the human life. Right? The war, the people, the Kshatriyas who die in the war, they immediately attain heavenly planets. So they are also benefited by this system. The other thing is that the end result of a Brahmin sacrifice and the end result of a Kshatriya's war are both same. The Kshatriya is out there in the battle fighting. He will get the same reward as a Brahmana who is doing a yajna or a sacrificial fire sacrifice. So there is no discrimination or distinction between these two. The roles are different, but the end result is same. Isn't that amazing? There are two kinds of swadharma, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's swadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. So here we are talking about two kinds of swadharma, specific duty. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the particular duties of that body. See, right now we are but the jeev. We are in the body, human body. We are in the material body. We are bound by the rules of the material body, and therefore we have to follow the prescribed duties of that particular body. If I was born as a Kshatriya, then the duty is prescribed what I should be doing. Similarly for Brahmana, because we are in the body. But once we get liberation, then we will know our swadharma, our specific duty, and swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, swadharma is called varnashrama dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of varnashrama dharma, or specific duties in terms of specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authority serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. That was verse number 31. Now we move on to verse number 32. Yadrichya chopapannam swargadvaram apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labhante yuddhamidrisham. O Partha, Happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Purport. As a supreme teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna, who said, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. Unquote. Such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in the discharge of his specific duty. For a Kshatriya, to be on the battlefield and to become non-violent is a philosophy of fools. In the Parashara Smriti, or religious code made by Parashara, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is stated, Kshatriyo hi prajarakshan Shastra Pani Pradandayan Nirjitya Parasainyadi Shritim Dharmena Palayet. Quote, the Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. Unquote. Considering all aspects, Arjuna has no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom, and if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to heavenly planets whose doors were wide open for him. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case. So Arjuna was confused whether to fight or not to fight. So here Prabhupada says, not to fight option does not arise, because as per Vedas, a Kshatriya has to fight in the battle. A Kshatriya can't be called a Kshatriya. He can't be in the battle, and he can't choose to be non-violent. He can't say, I'm not going to fight, let them kill me. That will be going against dharma, against the Kshatriya dharma. Arjun was in his Kshatriya body. He was not yet a liberated spirit soul, so he cannot say, I will not fight. That option is ruled out. Then comes the option of fighting. When he is fighting, either he will be successful, he will win the war, or he will be killed in the battle. Only these two options are going to be there. In either case, if he gets killed in the battle, immediately he goes to heavenly planets. His condition will be much more better than in the material world. If he conquers the enemies, if he wins the war, then the entire earth is for him to enjoy. So there is benefit in both the cases. So with that, we come to the end of verse number 32. So verse number 31 and 32 were about Swadharma. In other words, we can say that this is about karma, sakam karma. Karma, we will know in the other verses that's going to come. There are three kinds of action. One is vikarma, one is karma, and one is akarma. Akarma can also be said nishkam karma, and karma can be also said to be sakam karma. So here these two verses 31 and 32 is talking about sakam karma, or just karma, where one follows one's prescribed duties, just one does one's duty and one is okay. That's it. One will not go to hell, at least. They will not be getting any ill result of those karmas. In order to understand this point, let me give you a beautiful example of, have you heard of Mandodari, the wife of Ravan? Ravan was a very cruel demon king. Ravan, we all know about Ravan. he kidnapped Mother Sita and he did a lot of atrocities. He was not a Vaishnava, he was an ardent bhakta of Shivji. So Ravan was an asura in all respects, never took Lord Ram's name. He had a wife called Mandodari. Mandodari was Pativrata. Mandodari was ideal wife. She till Ravan's end, Mandodari followed her wifely duties to perfection. She stood by her husband, she served him, and she was an ideal wife. Now Mandodari is doing Swadharma or Sakam Dharma. Sakam Karma, doing prescribed duties. So Mandodari is doing her prescribed duties as a wife, and guess what? Mandodari is elevated to the highest position because of that. It doesn't matter if Ravan was against Lord Ram, but Mandodari, as far as Mandodari's dharma is concerned, her dharma was serving her husband, and she did that perfectly. So she is regarded as one of the 5 great ladies, Panchakanya, and she got the highest status after leaving the body. So Sakam Karma, the benefits of Sakam Karma is explained here. This is a bit of a tricky concept to understand, but I hope you've benefited in some way. If you like the video, do give a thumbs up, do share the video, do subscribe to it, and thank you for being there and for listening. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. See you next time. Till then, Hare Krishna.